This is WZRD Chicago 88.3 FM. And we have with us at WZRD via Zoom, Faayani. How do you pronounce your last name, Faayani?
Faayani Aboma Mijana.
Faayani Aboma Mijana.
Faayani Aboma Mijana. Let me spell it. Maybe that'll help.
Mijana.
Faayani Aboma. I'm typing it right now. Okay, got it.
Faayani Aboma Mijana.
Yep, exactly.
Okay. Okay, so let's first of all give a little background about the court case today. Before we go into the ruling, what were you trying to get, and what was the outcome?
So the outcome, so the background is that we've been fighting as a coalition for, sorry, give me a second. There's a dog barking in the background. It's throwing me off.
Oh.
So the background on the permit and our fight for a march route is that we applied for a permit at Union Park, and we, excuse me, God, I'm struggling today. I'm sorry. Okay. So the background on our march route is that we've sought to have a march that's within sight and sound of Union Park. I'm so sorry, Trudy. Okay. So the background on what happened today is that the coalition has sought to have a march route that's within sight and sound of United Center, which is where all of the Democratic Party will be. We've also sought to have our march be on main thoroughfares to be able to hold the tens of thousands of people we're expecting. And we've also sought to, good Lord, there's a dog barking in the background. It's killing me. Sorry.
Okay. I don't hear the dog.
Yeah, I know. It's more for myself. I just closed the door. I'm sorry. Um,
No.
okay. I do this all the time, but I'm just like struggling right now. Okay. So the background on our march route is that the coalition has sought to have a march route that's within sight and sound of United Center. United Center is where these Democratic Party officials will be. We've also sought to get a march route that's long enough to facilitate the amount of people that we expect. We're expecting tens of thousands of people, and we've sought to get a march route that is long enough and also is wide enough on main thoroughfares because the city wants to give us side streets. So basically what the city gave us was a march route that was 1.1 miles. The march route that we've saw is 2.3 miles. And the city gave us a march route that goes on side streets. So, you know, for the tens of thousands of people we're expecting, those side streets could create a logjam and also exposes people in the community to a lot of people marching. And then the city doesn't give us a clear line of sight and sound to United Center. And so we've been negotiating with the city, and what came out just this last night from the judge was that she affirmed the city's position. She affirmed the city's march route and said that the march route, she had no concerns about the march route being as long as it was, the 1.1 mile that the city gave us. And she was okay with us going on side streets. And she thought that we had good enough sight and sound. So she stood with the city. And our response to that was that with our lawyer, we appealed. So we're appealing right now. And basically what that means is we're fighting till the last day to get the march route that we want because there's a genocide happening. It's an extenuating circumstance. And at the same time, we're expecting tens of thousands of people, and we want people of all ages, all disability statuses, immigration status to be able to march with us without fear of being repressed. And the way that happens is we get this permit so that people kind of, you know, have an insurance policy to keep them safe because we want to have a family-friendly protest. So that's the background.
So there are about 200 organizations that are standing with you in this coalition, right?
Yes, we're now at 223 organizations. We're in 21 states, including Illinois, and some organizations are even beyond the US. from around the world. And so we're a worldwide, nationwide, citywide coalition, and we come from all different sectors of society. We're composed of organizations in Palestinian rights. We're composed of organizations and police crime, stopping police crimes, black liberation, black people's rights, women's rights, LGBTQIA plus rights, workers' rights, so on and so forth. So we're a broad-based coalition from all over the country.
Mhm. Did you have a similar march during the RNC, the Republican National Convention?
So there was a march on the RNC in Milwaukee, and I'm in the Chicago Alliance Against Racist and Political Repression, and we have an affiliate in Milwaukee, the Milwaukee Alliance Against Racist and Political Repression.
Mhm.
And the Milwaukee Alliance also played a leading role in the march there in Milwaukee on the RNC. They implemented a lot of the same sort of approach to things. They sought to get a permit. They trained up their marshals to keep their protests safe. These marshals are people from the movement that are taught how to de-escalate, that are taught, how to keep the protests safe. And they also had legal observers, just like we did. The only difference was that they were protesting a party that wasn't in power or isn't in power. They have some power, but they don't have the presidency. And so their demands were a little different. Their demands were to oppose the reactionary agenda of the Republicans. And we marched with them because we also consider the Republicans to be a danger as well. But here in Chicago, the Democrats are coming here, and the Democrats are responsible for the genocide in Palestine. They play the leading role. They're aiding and funding Israel in this genocide. And so we have to march on the Democrats.
Mhm. We're historically, when in 1968, was there a similar situation in which the police and Chicago placed the protesters out of sight and sound?
Right. And one thing that we've done, the approach we've taken is when we first applied for our permits to march, the city gave us a march route that was 4 miles away. I think it was at Grant Park, nowhere near Sight and Sound. And what we've sought to do was fight for everything. And so it was through our concerted struggle that we've been able to get a march route that is within sight and sound of United Center. It's not a perfect march route, and we're going to keep fighting for more, but we want to be able to have the people responsible for this genocide see and hear us. And we also want to be able to do it in a way that keeps everyone safe. So that's an approach we're taking. Yeah.
So the first, in the beginning, the first permit had the coalition had the march be 4 miles away. So now, how far away would the march be from the United Center?
Yeah. So I'm still learning my Chicago geography, so I just want to get it right really quick. United Center is on the northern edge of United Center is Madison, and the march route that we want is 2 blocks north of Madison across the parking lots to Washington. So Washington Boulevard is the southern stretch, the southern tip of our march route that we want to go. And what the city wants to give us is on Maypole Avenue, which is 1 block north of Washington Boulevard. But the issue is that Maypole Avenue has houses, there's a park. It blocks your sight line. Like, it's not clear visibility to the United Center. And so that's why we've sought to get onto Washington Boulevard, because you can see clearly from across the parking lots where we're hopefully going to be marching that the United Center is right there. And if we can see it, that means they can see us.
So right now, the current route that Judge Andrea would approve is not within sight and sound then?
It's what we've been saying is it's not strong sight and sound. You can go on the street view if you'd like on Google at the corner of Maple and Walcott. And it's like, through the trees and through the park, you can see United Center, but it's not great. And then to add insult to injury, these are on side neighborhood streets. Imagine living in a neighborhood, this is the West Side, which like is already, not treated well by the state and the city. And you're going to have 30, 40,000 people marching through your street when you're trying to carry on with life as normal. And so we don't want to be a disruption. In fact, we've even canvassed the neighborhood and have talked to neighbors about how we're fighting for a march route that wouldn't interfere with day-to-day life. It would be as minimally invasive as possible. Obviously, the convention is a disruption in itself, but we want to insert ourselves in the community or embed ourselves in the community in a way that's not invasive.
What do the residents tell you? Are they upset with the march being going through Maple?
The residents in the neighborhood are with us in what we're doing. They support us, and at the same time, they support the fact that we're pushing for a march out on Washington because they don't want a disruption, and at the same time, we don't want to disrupt neighbors. But all in all, in terms of the political aims and goals of ours and the march itself, they do support us. And it's important to remember that the people who are playing the principal role in the disruption is the Democratic Party, who's coming into this city and bringing this high security event with all these diplomats who are staying in apartments and Airbnbs and hotels and making everything really expensive, bringing in all these security apparatus to surveil people. I just saw a news report yesterday that fences just went up around the neighborhood and nobody was notified about it. And so a huge chunk of parking in this part of town for people who live there was just gone like that for, the 2 weeks that the DNC is going to be here. So it's important to say that the real disruption are the Democrats who are coming here and, they're funding and aiding a genocide. And so we need to protest them. They need to hear us. So that's our view.
And there's supposed to be an 8 to 10 foot wall that's built along Washington Boulevard that is going to keep to secure the perimeter. So how is that wall obstructing the sight and sound?
From what I understand, I'm actually not sure on what exactly the fences look like, and so I don't want to give you incorrect information. But in any case, yeah, I don't have an answer for you on that, to be honest.
That's okay. And then it seems as if another reason that the judge gave was that if the protesters were along Washington Boulevard and they were to surge against their fence, some people might get crushed to death. Isn't that does that seem valid to you? Because if you're on the side streets and there were a surge, there are many walls and walls that are that could make people, like if they surge against the wall, people will get crushed anyway. That doesn't have to be that fence that they're building. What is your opinion? What have you discussed about this?
Yeah, our view is that everything that they're saying, which is under the guise of them caring about us, is we don't care for their care because we understand that if anything, they've made things very difficult for us at every turn. And the only people who have looked out for us and kept us safe for all these months and almost year of protest has been us. The movement has kept itself safe. And they ascribe this sort of lack of control on our movement when really we're united and we're organized and we should be able to march within sight and sound, and we don't need to be babied. So that's what I think. It's hollow in my opinion.
Let's put everything in a more historical context again. In 1968, about how many people were protesting versus how many this time? Did they have 20,000 people in 1968?
I don't think so. I think 1968 was far fewer people. And another aspect was that the people who led the marches in 1968 were white. And the difference this time is that in leadership of our march, some of the leadership, or a big part of the leadership, comes from the U.S. Palestinian Community Network and the Chicago Alliance Against Racist and Political Oppression. These are Palestinian and Black liberation organizations who, for decades, not just decades, but since October 7th, have stood shoulder to shoulder, protesting every week, in and out, sometimes multiple times a week, this genocide. And these two organizations, one that I'm proud to be a part of, kind of shows the difference, which is that we have people of color in leadership of this coalition, and the coalition is composed, it's a multiracial, multi-ethnic, multinational, diversity in age, people with decades of experience. And so we're a very diverse coalition. And at the center of it is this Black and Palestinian unity, which what didn't exist then, but I don't say that to disparage 1968. It was a very similar context. They were protesting a horrific war that was also, awful. It's just, I would say those are the differences in general.
So when those protesters were attacked and killed, where were they compared to where you will be? How were they inside the perimeter? Were they in the convention space, or were they also a ways away? Because I know that they were set apart. Did they breach the perimeter and then got attacked? What happened versus what the space that you are allowed in 2024?
I don't really want to get into the minutia of what happened in 1968. To be honest, I want to focus on what we're doing, which is, we're protesting a genocide here today. And, there are a lot of lessons that can be drawn from that march. But, that's what I'm focused on. I'm focused on these Democratic Party politicians who, for the last 10 months, have been funding and aiding a genocide. And that needs to be stopped. And so our principal demands are around standing with Palestine and ending U.S. aid to Israel, because it's the aid to Israel that lets this genocide keep happening. So that's what I'm focused on.
I understand, but the thing is that we don't want you to we don't want history to repeat itself, and that was why I was asking about the proximity of the protesters to the perimeter versus 1968 when they were attacked, and when those protesters were attacked. I'm just very concerned that the protesters will be attacked this time. So that's why that is the reason I'm asking about the space.
Yeah. I think
now.
I mean, we've gone to great lengths, as I said, to ensure that this can be a safe protest. And I can't speak to all the minute details of what they did in 1968. But I can say that, us getting the permit, us having people trained from the movement to keep us safe, people with experience doing this for years, and also us having legal observers from the movement. These are all different, parts of a whole of us trying to keep our protests safe. And so, we're going to great lengths. And the only role that we see for police is to not infringe on our right to protest, to not infringe on our First Amendment right. We don't need them. They should be as far away as possible. That's our view.
I understand. And when you plan to protest that route, were you planning on one parade, or were you planning to be continuously protesting all 4 days when the conventioneers are at the United Center?
There are protests, from what I know, happening every day, but the protests that the Coalition to March on the DNC are involved in are on Monday, August 19th at 12 p.m. and Thursday, August 22nd at 5 p.m. Those are the ones that we're leading.
And you have people that you have about 20,000 people that have committed themselves to protesting with you on both those days, right?
Right. I mean, in terms of people that have committed, we don't have an RSVP, but what we do have is a coalition that's around the country that are bringing buses to Chicago. We have buses from as far as New Mexico. We have buses coming from Michigan, from Wisconsin, from Ohio. Minnesota. Did I say Minnesota already? I can't remember. But we have buses. Okay. We have buses coming from all over. And then in addition to those buses coming from all over, locally, we know how many people can turn out in Chicago. We saw in the weeks after October 7th, how many tens of thousands of people poured into the Loop downtown. And we've also seen on a week-to-week basis, consistently, these Palestinian organizations who have been having protests every week have been able to mobilize thousands of people every week consistently. And so that combined with the historical situation, the fact that the Democrats have only continued to double down on this genocide, the fact that Kamala Harris continues to patronize people who are protesting a genocide, the fact that she would blame people for if the Democrats lose instead of self-reflecting as to the fact that the Democrats, if they lose, they would only have themselves to blame. These things make people angry, and it makes them want to raise their voices. It makes them want to express their rage. And so we have every reason to believe that, people want to march, and people in the tens of thousands will march.
Mhm. Do you have any proposals as to solutions? If you want them to stop funding the genocide, but if they don't, then what can you do? Yeah,
Our demand is not about it's stop the genocide, but it's also end US aid to Israel. Back in the 1990s, Joe Biden, you can find the video online, he said if there wasn't an Israel, we would have to create an Israel. And it speaks to the fact that Israel plays a really critical role for US economic and geopolitical interests in the region. And so to us, the entire existence of Israel is based on this land theft, this genocide, this ethnic cleansing that is at the center. It's at the center of the establishment of Israel in 1948, when the settlers brutalized and killed and raped and murdered Palestinians, which sent Palestinians away from their ancestral homes. To us, the way to truly resolve things is to cut the spigot that funds Israel, and it's through ending US aid to Israel that Palestine can be free, we think.
And just how much support do you have in the legislature to help you in this
I mean, to us, we're like there are people within the political system that are softer on Palestine. On the whole, the political system, as we've seen, has completely turned against anyone, especially in the Democratic Party, who has even stuck their neck out a little bit for Palestine. So the Jamal Bowmans, the Cori Bushes. Cori Bush was someone that was viewed very positively in the Palestinian community, and last I saw, she was forced out by an AIPAC candidate in the primary. And so to us, the source of change in this country, the source of change for ending the genocide and ending US aid to Israel, the source of it won't be from within the Democratic Party. It's going to be from a mass movement that we build outside of the legislature. And so this march is like, one step of many to building a mass movement for this.
Have you trained to deal with violence should it arise? Because there might be violence from others that disrupt your protest. Have you trained to deal with that?
If you're talking about people who are opposed to us politically, that's what our marshals are for. Our marshals are there to de-escalate. And in Milwaukee, for the RNC, where they approached their march in a similar way to us, they had Trump supporting protesters there who counter protested, and it was through the marshals that they were able to de-escalate and have things go off without incident. In fact, the only incident that occurred in Milwaukee, or the only incidents that occurred in Milwaukee, involved police officers, where police officers from outside of Milwaukee and from Columbus, Ohio, killed a Black man by the name of Samuel Sharp Jr., who was experiencing a mental health crisis. And rather than de-escalating with him, as we know these police officers can do with gunmen who are armed to the teeth with weaponry, in this case, they came with their guns drawn and immediately began shooting. And so the real danger to us, yeah, they're the counter protesters, of course, but we have de-escalators for that. The real danger for us are the police. And that's why we want them as far away as possible from us, because we know how to keep us safe.
Mhm. And then what if the police do become violent? Do you have training for that? And are you prepared for that?
Sure. Like, I told you about everything that we've done to prepare ourselves. And, we've heard the police department reassure, thanks to the legal pressure that Friends of the Movement exerted on the police department. They went from saying they were going to implement mass arrests, months ago, to them saying, we're going to respect people's First Amendment rights. Does that mean we trust the police to follow through on what they say? No. But we're putting pressure on the powers that be, and we're going to have a march so big that it would just be better for them to back off. So that's our view.
Mhm. And you do plan to protest continuously, but those the 2 days on Monday and Thursday will be the big march, and it will start from from one side and then go all the way to Union Park. The route will be the same for both days.
Correct.
And then what about the appeal? What court are you appealing to?
I don't have that information.
Oh, that's okay. But is it does it have to be like another court, or is it like you could still appeal again to the same judge? You don't know that. You're not sure, right?
I wish I had that information. I don't right now.
And your legal observers, are they lawyers, or are they just trained in?
Correct.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah, they're legal observers from the National Lawyers Guild, with the green hats. So I don't know if you've ever been to a march, but oftentimes when we hold marches, we have legal observers to make sure that police officers aren't doing anything. And if they are, we have people in the legal community to document it and act as necessary.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, Faayani, thank you so much for joining us and giving us some insight about the ruling and your plans for the protest and the background behind your demands. Thank you so much.
Of course. Thank you so much, Trudy. Have a good one. Thanks for having me.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.